Welcome. My name is Marilu Chavez. I'm Executive Assistant and Board Liaison for SACNAS. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Lydia Villa-Komarov. Dr. Villa-Komarov is a scientist, a businesswoman, and a diversity advocate. She is the current chair of the nomination subcommittee and co-founding member of SACNAS.
Welcome. I'm glad to be able to talk to you today. What we're going to do today is tell you about the nomination subcommittee and its role in choosing the board for SACNAS. What we do is to take the nominations that you send us or your nomination of yourself, and from that group select a slate of candidates that best fills the needs of the board at the time, trying at the same time to be sure that we have representative of our entire membership. And you'll hear a little bit more about that later. We choose the board members to serve the organization as a whole, not individual subgroups or individuals, but the organization as a whole. What we're looking for in board members is people who are currently members of SACNAS. In most cases, we look for membership of longer than a year, but it depends on your demonstration of commitment. We want the board to have shown commitment to the SACNAS mission and vision by showing that they've come to meetings, they've participated in committees, they've done other things which show their commitment to diversity and STEM, and that they have experience in these areas. We're looking for individuals who have national experience with boards, who have national connections with other organizations, professional societies, and activities in those. That speaks to your experience. We're looking for diversity. We want the overall board composition to reflect as closely as we can manage the membership of the society. So we want to have a wide range of professional talents, disciplines, and sectors. We want everybody, academia, we want technology, we want business. We want to be representative of the ethnicities and races that constitute our society. And we also worry about geographic distribution, things like gender, sexual orientation, and all of those other things that make us the diverse and successful society that we are. Candidates who are successful candidates must be willing to provide financial support to the society. This is a strong indication of your support. At the moment, the expectation is a $200 monthly minimum. That comes to $2,400 a year. That's for the non-graduate student members of the board. And furthermore, candidates have to be willing to help the society raise money. That means by opening doors to people that you know who might be supportive of our goals, to help get those funds and to maintain relationships with potential and current donors. And finally, we're looking for experience in board governance. It's different to run an organization as a board than to run an organization or a lab as a CEO or a lab leader or a faculty member. And so we're looking for people who've had that experience on other boards, be they local or national, although national are preferred. In addition to those things that I have just mentioned, we expect board members to take part in committee leadership and service to the society, so that in addition to the board meetings, you'll be expected to be the chair of at least one committee or subcommittee, and you're eligible to serve on additional committees if you wish. You should be willing to accept and be ready for various projects which maybe you will instigate or which may be requested of you by the board as a whole. A very important consideration is that you will be asked to sign off on a code of conduct. These are things that all board members in most institutions need to comply with, and they help to remind us of our responsibilities as board members, and they ensure that there's some accountability. I want to point out only a few of the list that's given on this next slide. First of all, you'll adhere to the SACNAS Code of Conduct and Code of Ethics, which is this document. I want to stress again that respectfulness and collegiality with individuals on the board and in the society are expected and important. And that we want board members should be punctual to board meetings and to be prepared. There's usually readings and things that need to be considered, and you should do some homework in advance of the board meetings. And finally, board matters are confidential. So the discussions you have on the board, the meeting information are all held within the board, and those should not be disclosed outside of the board unless the board as a whole has agreed that that information is now to be made public. Now what we're going to do is to hear from board members, because they can really give you the flavor of what it is to be a SACNAS board member, and they will introduce themselves. And the first will be Healani.
Thank you very much. Aloha, everyone. I'm Healani Chang. I'm a faculty at the University of Hawaii at Manoa campus. I'm a program director and the research associate specialist. I'm currently a SACNAS on the board of directors. Turn it over to Corey.
Hi, I'm Corey Welch. I'm a current SACNAS board member. I'm the program director of the STEM Scholars Program at Iowa State University.
Hello, I'm Alan Kaufman. I'm a former board member from 2015 to 2017. Currently, I'm a section head working in intellectual property management and healthcare R&D with the Procter & Gamble Company. And I'll hand it over to Helani.
Thank you, Alan. This next section will be sharing our own personal perspectives of what it is to have served on the board of directors of SACNAS. We each have 3 questions that we'll address, and I'll begin with the first one. From my perspective, what makes a strong board member and what skill sets has helped me the most? I would say it's really important to be collaborative on this board. We come from so many diverse communities, from specialties, and from cultural values and backgrounds. So we need to be collaborative, we need to be good listeners, respectful of each other, not only the time commitment, but whatever issues they may raise. And if even when you don't agree to it, be open-minded and be ready to listen and to contribute, because together we make the society a lot stronger as a group moving forward. And we need this diversity of thoughts and people involved with the organization. The second question is, why is it important to give a substantial unrestricted gift to the organization? Well, first of all, for the first time when I did this, it really felt good. I was doing something and I didn't label it. It was unrestricted, and the resources went to an area that was really in need of support. For example, sometimes it may be the student travel to a conference. And as you know, student travel is really important because they get to network and build peer support and hear from their colleagues and just meet a host of exhibitors who are looking to recruit them for graduate school. So sometimes maybe it may be the unrestricted funds that you donate will go to student travel, but it lifts the organization. So I'm really proud of that. And the third question is, what piece of advice would I give someone interested in running for the board of directors? Well, you gotta be excited about the society and be willing to put a lot of time into it, because it does take a lot of time. You need to prepare before you come online for the conference calls, for the board meetings. You need to be ready to share your culture, your science, your expertise, and to be, again, collaborative with your colleagues. It lifts the organization, it moves us forward, and the greater general public gets to know how fantastic and how successful the SACNAS organization is. So I'm pretty excited about being on the board. I hope you folks all plan to apply and be board members and service board members. Okay, so I'll send it off to Corey next.
Thank you, Elani. What makes a strong board member, I'll reiterate a couple things that Helani said, which is the collaborative thing and being a good listener. The other factor that's been really important is for me to work effectively with others is to figure out creative solutions to some different problems. The second question, you know, the giving part, this society has given so much to me professionally and for many years. It feels good to give back in different ways and to give back financially in particular, because you get to see the impact that you can have on students, and it serves our broader mission to bring all voices to the table of science and fundamentally make science better than it currently is. And lastly, if you're thinking about or interested in running, come talk to us on the board. We'll happily give you some advice and answer questions. It was really helpful for me when I was weighing the pluses and minuses of whether to run myself by talking to current and former board members at the time. So please come and join, apply. Thank you. Alan?
Thanks, Corey. So from my perspective, what makes a strong board member is the amount of passion that they're able to bring to the entire board. You have to be passionate about what you're doing and why you're there, right, to make a difference. Skill set that helped me the most, really being people focused. So obviously within SACNAS, we are focused on the success of the students, achieve their true leadership potential. And so that's one people focused portion, but also really having good relationship skills in order to, attract donors and things like that. So just being people focused is a big deal. So why is it important to give a substantial gift to the organization? A lot of times donors and agencies and things like that want to see that you have skin in the game as a board and that you yourself and the board are invested in the success of the organization. So this is really important that you do that. Obviously, it's going directly to the students, and so it's almost like a bonus. What is one piece of advice you could give somebody interested in running for the board? Well, so just to be patient, right? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you need to be patient, not only through the process, but through the actual term of your board. And really try to understand the time commitment. So we're all professionals or a grad student. And so you really have to understand how much time am I going to have to invest in order to be there fully, 100% all the time where the board needs me to be. So those are the things that I think are important. And I'll turn it back over to Corey.
Yes. One of the big board responsibilities is around governance. We have to ensure effective organizational planning, usually around strategic plans, which can be 5 to 7 year plans. And we have to make sure that we're meeting our goals along those priorities that we set. We have to ensure that we have legal and ethical integrity and maintain accountability around legal standards and things around that nature. And then lastly, we have to be supportive of the executive director and also the evaluator and to make sure he or her have a successful ability to do their job. And then I'll hand it over to Alan.
All right, so one of the biggest responsibilities of the board is the fiscal responsibility that it holds. Really, our job is to protect the assets and provide proper financial oversight of the organization. So to do that, we have to have a good understanding of the organization's financial and its business models and ensure that they align with the strategic plan that the board has set forth. The board also approves the annual budget. So we work hand in hand with the finance committee. We monitor the annual performance of that budget throughout the year, and we ensure that proper financial controls are in place. Another thing that we do is we ensure fiduciary responsibility and sustainability of the organization. One of the foremost responsibilities are to secure and ensure that we have the adequate resources so that the organization can exist to fulfill its mission. So the board serves as the main connection to introduce funding relationships back to the organization, and it gives and secures funds on behalf of the organization. Now I'll hand it over to Helene.
Thank you, Alan. This next section I want to talk about is raising the organization's brand or awareness. Now, we need to enhance the organization's public standing. And how do we do that? The board should be able to clearly articulate the organization's mission, accomplishments, and goals, and be willing to communicate our own commitment for the organization's work and purpose to the greater public, and also to garner that additional support from the community. I'll turn this back over to Marilu.
The open positions this year are president-elect and 2 general members. The board nominations are open from June 12th to July 12th. And the board of directors meets 6 times a year, 3 of them in person. The in-person meetings are 2 days long. The video conference calls are 1.5 to 2 hours long. The in-person meetings are in February, June, and October. Thank you for watching this webinar. Feel free to contact us at governance@sacnas.org with any questions from the board, nominations subcommittee, our panelists, and staff. Thank you.